Hi guys, it's me Pete, and as you may or may not know, uh, I previously handled my own YouTube channel under Pete Plays Video Games. I think, yeah. So welcome to my what I hope to be is going to be my Vampire the Eternal Struggle YouTube channel, and this is the first video or first live recording that I'll ever do. And yeah, so let me just go straight to the point. Um, I really didn't have any plans on what to say in this video except just to give a very short description of my first ever experience playing VTES in a competitive setting. Particularly, last Saturday, which is 2 days ago, I joined the nationals of Vampire the Eternal Struggle here in the Philippines, and as a very young player, I have found the experience very interesting. First of all, I'd like to say, congratulations to Joscar, the tournament organizer, for having run that tournament perfectly. Perfectly, there was little to no hiccups when it comes to the way the tournament was conducted. Everything went smoothly, although we did extend a bit, and I'll get to that later. But as a fellow tournament organizer myself, seeing how the national tournament was done was really very inspiring. So good job to the tournament organizer and to the community as well, since they're very welcoming. Obviously, I've only played with my own play group in Laguna with my local play group, and there wasn't really, I wasn't exposed to the broader VTES community. Although I did notice that some players were actually former Legend of the Five Rings players, and the eventual tournament winner was or is, I don't know if he's still active though, is an L5R player. So there was a bit of familiarity with some of the people there. So okay, now let's go on to my experience. I'd like to cut this video into two parts. The first one will be some sort of a tournament report on what actually happened. I played 3 games. Wasn't able to play the final table, but I was informed that I did qualify for the final. So I'm very happy with that experience. Um, but I can recount the first 3 tables where I played. So the first table, and you're looking at the picture of the participants. I think, yeah, I think a better picture of what happened in the first table. So I was playing a Ministry Stealth Bleed deck. Thank you to Jox for providing a deck list because I really don't have any idea of VTES. I just started recently, so Jox was kind enough to provide a copy of his ministry deck, which I piloted. Now, in this table, there was a lot of politics involved. I think three, three out of the 5 participants here were fielding political heavy decks. I'm not too sure though, but from the way the table dynamics unfolded, there was a lot of big political plays. So KRC, kind resource contesting. I'm not still that familiar with the word with the card. So there was that parity shift, um, Camarilla segregation. So the big thing here was Camarilla segregation because the political player, the one in the black shirt. Sorry, dude, I forgot your name, but you're really a cool guy. Your your deck, he was able to bring down 2 Camarilla segregation, um, which affected myself and the other stealth bleed player here, the guy wearing I think the pink one, so the pink shirt or white shirt. I'm sorry, dudes. I'm really sorry. I tried remembering your names. You're really good guys, but yeah. So yeah, so a lot of politics, and I was able to get, I think, around three victory points. Yeah, three victory points here. Um, Basically, the early game was really dominated by the political decks. Um, my fellow stealth bleed player was only able to survive marginally for most of the game of the round. So yeah, just so you know, while I was the surviving player, it was the guy on wearing the white shirt who really did the heavy lifting for the stealth bleed decks in this table. So yeah, he often commented that he was playing a lot of delaying tactics. I'm not sure if that's the correct card, but the one that cancels a political action. I think he played two copies of that card to stop very important political cards played by the opponent. And then he also played cards like direct intervention. So while he was in essence, or in theory, a stealth bleeder deck, or bleeder deck in general, um, he was forced to play like a wall deck, and that's his own words. So yeah, that was very interesting, and he did a lot of the heavy lifting, man. I was down to like there was a point in the game where I was down to like five pool, but because of his big plays, man, he we were able to survive and hold on to the political decks. Eventually, because of his position, he was sandwiched between two aggressive players, Henry and the guy in black uh, shirt. So uh, unfortunately, he was the first one to leave. He was the first one to be eliminated, but that was okay. He was able to do significant damage and was able to stop the big plays coming from the political decks. And then after that, I then proceeded to do whatever Ministry does, just play Platinum protocols one by one. Um, Eventually, it became clear that there was going to be some form of alliance in the table. So I was able to ask Dante the younger, who I think is the guy wearing the red shirt here, to work with me in some instances. And but eventually I had to eliminate him. I needed the pool because Henry, my predator, was breathing down my neck with just like with me having like less than six pool. So with him being eliminated, I was able to gain an additional six pool, and then yeah, from then on, I just proceeded to just eliminate the next player, and then finally eliminate Henry. So that was really something. It was my first time playing. That was my first table in my first tournament, and I was really happy because I didn't expect. I was saying to myself before the tournament that I'll just be happy if I even score just one victory point, and to start things off with three victory points for eliminating three players, and then an additional victory point, I think, for surviving the table. Then yeah, that's really something, and it's a very memorable experience, and I think it solidified. It made me confident that this was a really good game because I'll explain this later, but coming from a card game that's focused on single play 1v1 and then transitioning to a multiplayer game like VTES, then there's a bit of hesitation involved there, and a bit of trepidation because that element of player control that you have in 1v1 contests are not entirely there in multiplayer contests. So, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So yeah, so that's how the first table transpired. I was really happy with what happened, and I'd like to thank my opponents. I'm sorry again. I'm really sorry for not being able to get your names, but you guys were fantastic people. Thank you for playing with me. So on to table two. No, this is the first table. Sorry, man. Okay, so table two. I was, I think, player two here. Yeah, I think I was player two. So I was sandwiched between Hake, who was playing a Gangrel deck that had a lot of attachments, if that makes sense. So Sometimes during this video, I'll be describing things using terminology from my old game, Legend of the Five Rings. So I just noticed that he had a lot of equipment or attachments, and then the guy, my prey, the guy wearing the black, played some kind of deck. I honestly wasn't that I wasn't paying attention much, because my concern was really Haig. I knew from the start that he had a combat oriented deck, so from the get go, I tried to deny him the ability to cycle his cards, by just accepting his bleeds. So I was losing around 1 to 2 pool per turn from him, because I honestly didn't want to challenge his bleeds, or try to block his bleeds. So yeah. So the bald guy here, the one wearing the blue shirt, was just basically his deck was just running from the gates. He was able to bring out a lot of small vampires into play, and then you know and he, at an early stage of the game, was able to establish his board state. But eventually he ran out of steam. The guy wearing the black shirt, again, guys, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. I tried to remember your names. I think, but again, I have poor memory. I'm old. I'm old, guys. Anyway, so the guy in the black shirt, sitting next to me, was able to do a lot of big plays. Bleeding the guy wearing the blue shirt. So he was the first one to actually, surprisingly, he was the first one to actually get eliminated. And so it freed up the other guy wearing the black shirt, the old L5R player. Dude, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. You're a Lion player. I know that. Played in tech before. I just keep forgetting your name. But the guy wearing the other guy wearing the black shirt, who's seated across or in front of me, is was playing Banu Hakim. So we have two combat players sitting next to each other. So that was a very interesting dynamic. But the Banu Hakim player wasn't really pressuring Haig because he was forced to play defensive early on because of his Predator having been able to field multiple vampires. Although one, I think, average of uh, one pool. I'm sorry, one blood. There were still a lot. There were a significant number of vampires that were in play, that were threatening him constantly. And so after that, when the guy wearing the blue shirt was eliminated, this freed up the Banu Hakim player, and he was able to stabilize his board state a bit. So the guy wearing black sitting next to me was able to focus on him, and he was trying to bleed him, but I was able to and again, during this time, I was repeatedly suffering 1 or 2 bleeds, losing 1 or 2 pool per turn, because I wasn't really trying to challenge Shake, because entering combat as a ministry player, for me, I thought, no, that might not be a good idea. So I focused entirely on trying to eliminate the black player. The No, not the black player, the player wearing the black shirt next to me, my prey, and luckily I was able to do that. It's fun to have. I forgot the card. No, wait, Monkey Wrench. So I was able to get him within striking range of Monkey Wrench, and then he wasn't able to block my bleed, and then I played Monkey Wrench, and then for an additional 3 bleed. So that was fun. He didn't have what's the card that burns your vampire, if Archon Investigation. Yeah, he didn't have that, so that was fun. That was really fun. And so it was down to 3 people: myself, Haig, who was my Predator, and the other guy wearing the black shirt, I'm sorry, who was now my prey. So again, he was like down to a couple of pools left. Like, he would usually average around 3 to 4, and then he would be within striking distance of just one Platinum Protocol and Order of the Serpent thing. Yeah, but the two of them, Haig and the guy, would team up and they would enter into these fake combats so that they could cycle cards. And I guess one of the powerful cards of Banu Hakim was that Hunger of Marduk, which allowed the Banu Hakim player to not only cycle his cards because of these fake combat scenarios, but also gain life. So even if I bleed him using Platinum Protocol and take his life down to like 3 or 4, he would always gain it back because he'd cycle with Haig. So it was like really frustrating because I was trying to get him within striking distance. But I guess it's just a testament to how good that card, that Banu Hakim card is, that he was able to gain life. And eventually, at the end of the match, one advice given to him by Haig was that, you should always keep that life gain. That's a good thing. And yeah, so myself being unable to finally eliminate the Banu Hakim player, Haig finally played the card Open War. So Open War, he was able to directly target my two vampires, which were, I think, Nonu Dis and Vivian the Sixth. So I only had two vampires in play. So he entered in combat. Both were put into torpor, and then eventually everything collapsed. So I was eliminated. I only had one VP point, but it was really fun. One thing I noticed about ministry, playing ministry, is that you always have to be mindful of how many pool your opponent has. So every turn you're trying to constantly compute, like, it's okay, so if I take him down to 3, if you're always mindful of that magic number where you can finally get, through your bleed pumps. Sorry for the term, but bleed pumps. I use bleed pumps. You finally eliminate him using those pumps. So it's very, at the start of the tournament, I said, why don't I just use something simple like ministry? Like, I only have to swing forward. So, but then again, you're always computing, which is very fun. It's like Ministry is like, it's like a smarter version to all of you L5R players. It's like a smarter version of Lion Clan. So Lion Clan's good for starters, for beginners. It's like a tactical Lion deck. So anyway, so and then eventually Haig and the Banu Hakim player were left, and then Haig eventually won using his very well set up Grunhild vampire. So there's a lot of equipment, a lot of aid from bats. I don't know, aid from bats, Guardian, I think Magnum. I don't know. I don't know if I'm remembering correctly, but I think there was also a Kevlar vest and some other equipment. Basically, a fully souped up Brunhild and another vampire that's also fully souped up. So yeah, what can you do? So it happens. But still, it was a fun table. I, there was a lot of learning there. Thank you to my prey, the guy wearing the black shirt. Thank you very much. He's been such a sport, because of course, as a beginner, you have a lot of mistakes, you have a lot of misplays, but he allowed me to take some of those back. So thank you, dude. Thank you very much. Thank you to Haig as well, because he also gave us some practical advice. Like, for example, the Banu Hakim player, he gave the Banu Hakim player some good advice, like maybe you should add second domain. Oh no, sorry, second tradition domain in your deck. So I think that's a good sign. At least for me, that was a green flag for the community, that even if at this stage of competition, there's still that element of being a good sportsman, being a good um, fellow player, especially to the beginners. And then, okay, so that's the second one. Let's go on to the third. What was the third? Oh no, I think okay, so this is the third table. So this is really unlucky. I was really unlucky in this table because my predator was also a fellow ministry player, and my prey was a Nefandus deck. uh, run by, I think his name is Poldo. Sorry, guys, I try to remember your names, but I'm still new. Okay, so I was seated in between a ministry player and an Efandis player. And then I think Brian was the guy in front of me, across me was, I think he had a weenie type deck. I don't know if it's still computer hacking. And then the guy next, the Poldo Spray was, I forgot his deck, but he was a power bleeder as well. So as you can imagine, it was really very, very bad news for me because my deck didn't really have any defense cards uh, that I could use without a Baron. So unfortunately, my Barons were not did not appear in my crypt. So I wasn't able to buy them. So I wasn't able to use those cards like Party Out of Bounds. I forgot the other one that transfers the attacking vampire or the bleeding vampire to another. The misdirects the bleeding vampire to another Methuselah. Um, yeah, so was it? I didn't have access to my usual defensive cards. And another thing that happened was that I guess this is one thing that I learned was that um, it's really disadvantageous if you have a fellow a co-player in the table that also sports your faction, or that, yeah, because of the possibility of having to contest a vampire, which happened because we had between me and the other ministry player, because we had Crystal Lynn. So and we tried to bring her into play. So yeah, every turn I lost around average of two to three pool, and then everything collapsed. Wasn't able to bring to pressure Poldo that much. Eventually, was able to bring out all of his nefandous allies. Sorry, I'm still grappling with the terminology. So yeah, so his the nefandous allies, and then he was able to eliminate the guy in the black shirt. So yeah, so the first one to be eliminated was Brian because of the power bleeder. Yeah, and then the power bleeder, I tried to negotiate with him, saying that, you might want to pressure this other ministry player, and I'll pressure Poldo for you. So, but that didn't happen because Poldo was able to set up eventually, and he was able to eliminate the other power bleeder. And so again, losing three blood per turn was bad, and then I eventually folded. No, wait, no. Poldo then I was brought down to one blood or one pool. Then Poldo eliminated the other ministry player, and then he quickly eliminated me. So that was the end of my uh, run in the nationals. Later on, I was informed by Jocks that I was able to get enough victory points to go to the finals, which was very interesting. But my wife called, so I had to go home. Yeah, but it's okay. It happens. I wasn't able to play in the finals, but hopefully in the future I get to have that opportunity. So, general thoughts. Overall, again, very successful tournament, very good community. I really like. Well, there of course were some instances where people were very serious, but overall the general uh, tone and vibes, the place was very positive. A lot of people were cracking jokes. There were also a lot of fun in negotiating table and so on. So yeah, very very fun experience for me. Nationals, very surprising outcome as well, using Ministry. Now on to the second part. Yeah, so I think I still am an L5R player, but I've made that conscious decision to transfer to VTES. For the longest time, I've always heard about VTES, and then I said to myself, maybe someday I'll get to play it. Um, I was exposed a couple of months back when Nikon, another player in our local play group, was organizing these casual events in Alabang, and that's where I finally saw VTES in action. And my first reaction was that, "Ugh, it's a multiplayer game. Oh no!" Coming from a game that's 1v1, where you have a lot of control in terms of interaction. If you know, relatively speaking, I mean, just two players. I think that my first impression was that that was a turn off. Having three or four players, having a multiplayer format, uh, just didn't initially appeal to me. But you know, eventually, when I started playing casually, then it kind of clicked, and I realized that it's actually a good. It's something different, and it's an experience that you won't get in most TCGs. And yeah, I think it's fun. That's where the fun comes in because of the interaction with the table and you know um, the different plays and counter plays by different players. So yeah, I think I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy the game, and I'm looking forward to more games. And hopefully, it's I get to be a very active player. Yeah, and right now we're trying to build a very a community in the south, and from what I can see, Doc Roy, Mikon have done a great job in spreading VTES among L5R, not just L5R players, but also from other TCG players like Magic players and L5R players. So hopefully our community grows, and we have a lot of new players coming in. Yeah, so what can I say about VTES? It scratches a different kind of itch. It being a multiplayer game, the dynamics are different. I wouldn't say um, they're worse, but I definitely say that they're interesting. A lot of emphasis on politics and so on. So for me, I've said this before, but for me, VTES is what Commander tries to be. Commander being that multiplayer format of MTG, of Magic the Gathering. Um, Vitas is like a more focused version of Commander, or yeah, as since it's been built from the ground up to be a multiplayer game. It makes sense, like the edge mechanic makes sense, and some of the cards, yeah, it's just a great, such a good game, such a good game. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's me, Pete, and hopefully this me uploading stuff becomes a regular thing. And yeah, thank you to the VTES community, thank you to Jocks, thank you to my playmates, and I had a lot of fun, and I hope to see you guys soon. This is me, Pete, and I said it once, I'll say it again. I'll catch you on the flip side.